All right, let's get started. First of all, thanks for coming to the office hours. Those of you that have shown up live, and thank you to the people that listen to this afterwards or watch this afterwards. I do appreciate it. I think the office hours are really helpful in terms of conveying expectations and answering questions and that sort of thing. I'm hoping my live crowd will ask some questions, whatever is bothering them or is troubling them, as we go through this. So I've got a couple of things that I want to talk about. We are just starting on chapter 3 this week. So we're going to be looking at the acquisition of evidence. We're getting into a bit of a pattern here. So we've got our required read chapter 3, watch the chapter 3 video lecture, do the chapter 3 quiz by Friday at 11:59, and our discussion 2, post 1, due Friday by 11:59. So you should be seeing a pattern. You should be getting comfortable within the course with the expectations. There are almost everyone that has done the mandatory course requirements, the academic integrity and the course requirements quiz at this point. So just about everyone should be able to see quiz 3 now, as we're speaking on Saturday afternoon. If you cannot, there's a couple possibilities. Either you have failed to submit one or both of those required submissions, or you've submitted them and in the academic integrity module, maybe you didn't include your name on the screenshot, and there will be a comment by me. You'll typically have a 0.5 out of 1 mark, and it'll say include your name in the screenshot or whatever other deficiency. Occasionally people submit something from the wrong year or whatever, or just something that's entirely wrong. So take a look at the comments there. That'll guide you as to what you didn't do and what I'm expecting from you. The course requirements quiz, if you don't have perfect, you still won't be able to see quiz 3. So please do look at that, make sure it's perfect. And the other possibility is that you have submitted these things and I haven't had a chance to mark them yet. I mark them multiple times in a day because I have to do them manually. Now that the course requirements quiz is late, I have to approve every single submission manually. And the most email that I get from the class is at about, I don't know, sometime on Friday when they realize that they still haven't got the quiz is not available. And it's usually one of two things. Can you please mark my stuff so that I can see the quiz? And I think the latest one this week came at 11:30 at night. I'm old. I'm asleep by 11:30 at night, typically. And even if I'm not, I'm doing something better than marking quizzes for people that are 3 weeks late in submitting them. So the moral of the story here is please submit early in the week, and then there'll be less panic on Friday towards midnight when you don't see the quiz. The other concern is, as I said, you haven't fully completed the requirements. So take a look in your grades and make sure. If you can't see quiz 3, something's wrong at this point, right? You need to get those mandatories in, or you need to give me a second to go ahead and mark them. So that's I think that's all I need to say about quizzes. People are starting. They are open book quizzes. I've had this question occasionally. Anytime that we've got something that is not proctored, it's going to be open book. I will not impose on people and say, you've got to do a closed book quiz. And then what we get is the people that listen and are conscientious being at a great disadvantage to the people that are not listening or are not conscientious. So yeah, they're open book. Please follow along in the text. You should be able to check each and every question. You should be able to find them there. I hand wrote all those questions, so I know they're directly out of the text. So use keywords to search to refresh your memory. Hopefully you've already studied the chapter, maybe watch the video lecture, but please make sure you get the right answer. Doesn't hurt to take screenshots if that's what you want to do, because I do not release the correct answers. If you want to go through later and figure out where you went wrong, that's a great exercise in studying, because you will see those questions again midterms, finals, those sorts of places. Okay. Term papers. Lots of people have signed up for term papers. That's great. I'm actually quite encouraged by that. It's a little faster uptake this year than in previous years. The common question I get about term papers is, sir, I signed up through the group's topic and it disappeared and it gave me some sort of an error message. The message starts with success and then states something about nothing else being available. So once you've made that choice, there's nothing available for you to choose from. Once you've chosen in groups topics, your term paper, then it will become available to you in assignments. So that's where to look. Once you've made that choice, that's also where you're going to submit it, but your whole question will be there in assignments, showing through to you. I think that's certainly the most common question that I get. The other occasional is, sir, I made the wrong choice. I inadvertently clicked whatever instead of whatever, and I just don't choose, I don't move choices around. So whatever you inadvertently clicked on, that will be your topic, unfortunately. Discussions, we've gone through our first round of discussions now. So you hopefully, if you've done all the requirements, you've submitted discussion 1, post 1 and 2. So post 1, and I'm sort of belaboring the point, but post 1 answers the question that I post. Post 2 answers either a question that a peer has posted or responds to their post itself. So don't be afraid on the number 2. Sometimes we get a bit of disconnection. When we mark, all we see are your posts. So if I'm marking, let's say, Jane's posts, I don't see that she's responded to Janisha or anything like that. I simply see the posts. So if you want to quote the question at the beginning of post 2, that's great. If you want to make it obvious what you're responding to, that may be helpful. Just as a thought, I have enabled the reply with a quote feature, so you can quote what you're replying to, and you can even edit that down and just put in, the question that you're responding to instead of their whole post. So that's just a thought. It may make things a little bit easier. So the good news for everyone is I'm not going to penalize anyone for being late on their discussion 1, post 1. It was due a week ago Friday. We have had lots and lots of people join the class late. So I don't want to bother tracking all those people and excusing them for being late when it kind of wasn't their fault, at least to some extent. So no one will be charged a late penalty, but moving forward with discussion 2, if you don't have it in by this Friday at 11:59, I will mark it late. Keep in mind, if you didn't get around to it, it is best 4 out of 5 on discussions, so you're not in any way penalized at this point. I would really advise you to take the time to read the feedback. We will give you extensive feedback on the first post, on the first discussion, and probably fairly elaborate feedback on the second discussions. After that, because we will have been just repeating ourselves for the most part, we will just be giving marks. But look at that, and before you post, unless you're extremely confident that you're doing everything right, I would look at that feedback and incorporate that into my next posting for discussion 2. We will try our very best to have every post marked by Wednesday night. So if you're going to post your discussion 2, post 1 on Thursday or Friday, you will certainly be able to see your feedback. We will release those on a individual basis. So if I mark one discussion, that mark will be immediately available to that student. So we split, there's 3 workshop leaders plus myself. So we split the class into quarters, and we'll just be working at our own pace. So for instance, one of the workshop leaders may be working all day today, and those 3 groups that person's marking, that workshop leader's marking, may have feedback as of today. But please look at the feedback. We do spend an awful lot of time to give feedback. it's an onerous process for us, but we are really trying to help and make sure that it's 100% clear what we're looking for in the discussions. So
I have a question.
yeah, go ahead.
So I understand that you won't give us the answer, but is it no way you can tell us which questions we got wrong? Because I read the chapter and it's like, okay, if I get one or two wrong, I'm not sure if it's like, okay, maybe I messed up on this one, because I go back and read the chapter and looked at the question, because I did screenshot it and try to figure out what I did wrong, but I still coming up with the same answers. So there's no way you can tell us like which questions we got wrong, so we know like what to look out for, what to reread?
So unfortunately, no. And I'll explain sort of in detail why. It's a relatively small group of questions, and there's a huge number of students in the class. I'm faced with, and the questions get used year over year. They get used in quizzes and they get used in midterms and finals. If I 100% give answers as to what's right, I'm perfectly aware that most, if not all, of my questions and answers are posted online. So the students that aren't looking to learn and are looking to get good marks by just memorizing questions and answers are the ones that benefit from me doing that. So no, I don't really have an alternative. If I had 1,000 questions per chapter, the pool was so big, I would be happy to do that. But when I have a pool of maybe 30 or 40 questions per chapter, I just can't do it, because eventually there's a volume out there of every question and answer. And, you know, there's limited content. I can't rewrite the questions every year. It just doesn't make sense to do that. So it's a defensive thing against people that cheat. If we did it in class and I collected answers, and I might not even hand back those quizzes. And that's essentially what I'm doing here, is I'm not handing back the quizzes. So if you have a specific question, if you're concerned about one question, if you've identified one, you're more than welcome to reach out to me by email, and I will either try to give you a hint or say that I can't, but it is worth your time to say, you know, I think I got this wrong, or I was deciding between this answer and this answer, and I may be able to point it out. But the questions all come directly from the book, so there really should not be any there shouldn't be any doubt whether you got it right or wrong when you compare it to the paragraph. Watch out for, you know, little things like negative, like if I phrase the question as a negative, or if I throw in something. Read each very carefully is what I'm saying. There's going to be stuff in there that's meant to be tricky, not necessarily trick you, but to be tricky. And that's where people fall down. The other thing that students have a hard time with is the multiple answer questions. So make sure if there's a choice to choose more than one, that you're at least considering that, as opposed to just a multiple choice question. I know that's not entirely helpful or satisfying, but that's sort of where I'm stuck. So, and there was another person that asked the same question or very similar question. So all I can say is as you go through and as you're getting very, very good marks, I would take notes as to ones that I might not be 100% safe with, knowing that I've got the right answer. You will see these questions again, so it's worth spending the time to follow up and figure out where you went wrong. It also causes the student to do more work, which I'm a big proponent of when it comes to actually learning content from the course, as opposed to memorizing the answers on a quiz. That's not, I mean, if you can Google it, then that's not university learning. I want the analysis and the thought process built in, if possible. Does that answer your question, even if not satisfactorily?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Does anyone else have any questions, comments, concerns? like I said, I don't think I have a whole lot. We are getting into a good groove here. This is kind of how the course is going to roll out. Just the way the chapter 1 and chapter 2 rolled out is going to be sort of a template for how everything else rolls out. If you find yourself with a little extra time, I would encourage you to choose that term paper topic if you haven't already. Maybe start gathering sources, even if you don't start writing yet. Get that moving forward. When it's due, it's going to be, you're going to be competing with a lot of other needs around that time. You'll be getting ready for finals. You'll be probably having some term papers or term assignments due in other courses. So if you get that rolling, you start grabbing those 10 different sources that you need to write that term paper, then you'll be nicely ahead of the curve. I know I'm getting good questions from people, and by good questions, I mean they're looking forward in the course and they're asking me specifics about whatever they need to know about the term paper. So I'm very encouraged by that. I know you already mentioned it, but for the second post response, how many sources do we need? So the answer to that is exactly the same as the first. So it's 3. The requirements are 100% the same between the first post and the second post. So even when you're responding to a peer, you need to have 3 cited sources and 500 to 700 words. So I should also say, I mean, the question is phrased that I know you already mentioned it. I'm happy to go over things in this group format over and over. I have no problem with handling old questions, things I've talked about before. I do have a big problem when I get bombarded with email and people are expecting individual answers to things that I've covered. So please clarify. There's no problem in asking a question over again from a previous week or whatever. I will happily clarify. So hopefully that's really clear. The second post has all the same requirements as the first post. They're 100% the same in terms of requirements. Does that help you out? Okay, excellent. Does anyone else have any questions? If you do not, feel free to get on with your Saturday. I know I'm imposing in the middle of your Saturday afternoon, so please get on with your Saturday. Enjoy what looks like a nice, bright, sunny day. A little bit cold here anyways. So again, thanks for coming out, and reach out if you have any questions.
Mr. Reed, if you have a second, can I ask you a question?
Of course you can.
So just wait for, I was gonna ask you one-on-one, so I'll just wait.
Sure. Yeah, if you want to wait, yep, I'll see you at the end here. And you can call me Andy.
Right, Professor.
Yes.
I have a question. Is there any way where I can find like previous recordings of the meetings?
Yes, absolutely. So the secret is to look in the announcements, and it'll tell you where each one is. But in general, what I do is I put them in with the chapters. So after this meeting, I will put the recording up. It'll be at the end of chapter 3 under course content. So that's where they usually go. But I always, when I post them, I always make an announcement as well. I may not email that announcement, but it's in announcements. It'll tell you where it is. It'll also tell you the topics that we've covered. So if you're looking back, if you remember I said something and it's midweek or whatever, and you want to look back, you should be able to figure out which office hours is the one you want to look at. Okay?
Okay, teacher.
Awesome.
Bye-bye. Have a nice day.
Yep, you as well. Thank you. So Keshav, can I get you? I'm going to talk with Janisha privately for a second. Could I get you to come back at 2:30 into the room and we'll talk privately at that point? Does that work? I may have said Kishev, it might be Keshev. I apologize if I'm not pronouncing your name correctly. Sure. Okay. So I'll see you in 8 minutes or so. Thank you. Krutarth, is there anything that I can help you with?
Yes, Professor. Sir, I posted a question in the chat as well. What if we don't have any sources to cite for a reply to appear? Like,
Well, then you need to. Sir, the
Okay.
short answer to that is you need to. So you need to, like the secret or the hint I would give is to find a good post that allows you to either expand on what they've said or to debate what they've said so that you do have sources. So yeah, you need to. It's a requirement that you do that. So I would comb through a few different ones and find something that's interesting to you, and then do the reply with the cited sources.
oh, okay, sir. Thank
Okay.
you.
Awesome. Thank you. Have a good day.
You too. Bye.
Okay. Bye.